I spent the night in a real haunted house, and some scary things happened. In this video, we gonna be sharing all of the crazy things that happened to us when we decided to spend the night in one of the most haunted houses in America. But before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Also, if you are watching this video, then you should probably also watch our ghost hunting series called Ghost Adventures. It is genuinely terrifying. When we got to the property, we brought along multiple cameras. We also brought along 2 separate audio recorders. On top of that, I brought along my ghost hunting equipment, which includes an EMF reader, a motion sensor, and a temperature gauge. So we decided to open the closet door and see what was inside. There was nothing there. After that, we set up our camera in front of the closet and another in the corner of the room, recording everything that went on. We decided to stay in the room the entire night, instead of getting some sleep in the car. As I listened closely, it sounded like the screams were coming from the hallway outside of our room. And that's when things got really bad. I was filming with my GoPro when the lights started flickering extremely rapidly. The audio recorder that was sitting on the table started to pick up intense static. And on top of that, I started hearing what sounded like footsteps running down the hallway. They said that they would love to have us come back and do a longer investigation, meaning that we would be able to bring in more equipment and get even more in depth with our investigation. If you guys want to see us go back and do a deeper dive into this case, then make sure to let us know in the comments. Make sure to leave your thoughts and comments down below. If you haven't already, then go ahead and subscribe. It really does help us out a lot. Also, if you want to see more videos from me, then feel free to check out my second channel. Post less scary videos over there. Hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I really enjoyed this experience, and I would love to go back. It was very obvious that whatever was going on outside of that closet was trying to get out. Some of you always try to find a way to disprove our investigations by saying that we faked it or that it was all staged. First of all, it takes our team hours upon hours to edit our videos and put them together. If you think that we actually sit around and plan out all of the spooky stuff, then you are sorely mistaken. Everything that you see on camera is completely natural and unscripted. The reason why we do in-post the unedited versions of our videos is because they usually 10 to 20 hours long. Imagine trying to sit through an entire 20-hour video of us walking around in silence. Not only that, but our unedited footage has a ton of boring parts that nobody wants to see, like us setting up cameras and talking amongst each other. But I'm happy to say that this particular investigation will be uploaded unedited. So if you think that you can debunk our investigation, then please go ahead and watch the unedited version. I'll post the link in the description box down below. Then all of a sudden, the door to the closet swung open by itself. My heart immediately skipped a beat when this happened. It was one of the scariest things that I have experienced in a very long time. Immediately after that, the lights stopped flickering, and everything went silent. I tried my best to imitate the sound that I was hearing, but it's really hard to explain what it was exactly. I figured that if anything strange was going to happen, it would happen in the middle of the night when we were sleeping, and we'd have a better chance of catching it on camera. Now, I know some of you guys are thinking to yourself right now, dude, that is the dumbest decision ever. And yes, we did edit out the parts of the video where you couldn't hear what was going on. And looking back on the footage, we realized that a lot of things were captured on tape that we didn't notice while we were there. For example, there was a shadow figure that was caught on camera. When we reviewed the footage, it was very clear that it was not any of us. I have investigated hundreds of supposedly haunted places, and I can confidently say that Waverly Hills Sanatorium is one of the most haunted places that I have ever visited. But what I want you guys to do is to go watch the unedited version of this video. The link to it will be in the description box down below. Please watch it and tell me in the comments if you think that this was a waste of time, or if you think that we actually picked up something on tape. I promise you that the video is really good and you won't regret watching it. But hey, I'm glad I made that choice because that's when most of the action happened. Not long after, the footsteps started again. One thing that I noticed about the footsteps was that they seemed to slow down whenever we made noise ourselves. It's like they were listening to us or something. So I decided to start talking and making tons of noise. You could say that this was a test to see if the entity would stick around and continue making noise. But honestly, I was hoping that it would leave and stop making noise. Well, that didn't happen. The footsteps continued, and the entity clearly did not mind us being in its space. We checked every single room in the sanatorium, and set up shop in the basement. And although this may not sound like a big deal, it was because we had to keep the lights on at all times due to safety reasons. You've probably seen how dark it gets in some of these old buildings in our previous videos, so I'm sure you can understand how inconvenient it was. Then all of a sudden, one of the audio recorders turned itself on. If you listen closely, you can hear the breathing of what I think could have possibly been a spirit. This is obviously a very short clip, and it doesn't have any sort of context to go along with it. But knowing that this was recorded in an empty room with no one else around, it definitely gave us all goosebumps. There were several rooms down here, and most of them were connected by these long, narrow hallways. My team and I decided that we would split up and investigate different areas, while I stayed in the main room. This way we could cover more ground and potentially pick up on more paranormal activity. We have almost 20 episodes available for you guys to binge right now. Within minutes, we started picking up unexplained footsteps near where we were staying. It wasn't just any sound either. You could tell that someone was slowly walking back and forth in the hallway. It sounded like they were wearing very heavy shoes too. Fortunately, none of our cameras caught anything on tape, but the audio did. I have never heard anything like this before. And I'm not talking about sounds that you can just kind of write off as the wind or pipes. This was a clear-cut case of footsteps. The scariest part about it all was that the footsteps were coming from inside the closet that we were staying in. So after you finish watching this video, go check it out. You will not regret it. Okay, so for those who don't know, Waverly Hills Sanatorium was once a tuberculosis sanatorium in Kentucky. It had a bunch of different problems, but the main thing that people died from while staying here was, of course, TB. At its peak, they had around 4,000 patients here, with only about 16% of them actually surviving. In 1985, it closed its doors and was pretty much abandoned ever since. This place is considered one of the most haunted places in America. And in the past, we have had many ghost hunters come through here, including me and my team. However, no one has ever spent the night here. That is, until now. Before we get into the paranormal activity, let's talk about what went down when we arrived. After everyone split up and started investigating, things quickly took a turn for the worst. At first, we thought it might have just been a mouse running around or maybe a loose pipe, but that didn't seem likely. As I continued talking, other strange things started happening. The lights would dim and brighten by themselves. As the night wore on, the strange occurrences kept happening over and over again. At around 4 a.m., I started hearing what sounded like screams in the middle of the night. These were not human screams either, were high-pitched and very animalistic. Now fast forward a little bit later at around 6 a.m., normally I try to be as skeptical as possible. As the sun started rising, we decided to pack up and head out of the sanatorium. When we posted our original video, we had a ton of people reach out to us telling us that they work for the company that owns the sanatorium. Now before we end this video, I need to address some of the skeptics out there. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video.